Hello everyone, Amradorn here, and welcome to Europa Universalis V. I probably said that a little bit wrong, but so be it. Yes, I'm diving into the latest version of EU5. I struggled a lot with EU4. I never quite kind of understood the mechanics of it, so I really didn't do a whole lot of videos for it on the channel. But I really kind of want to dive into EU5, and right from the get-go, and kind of learn it. And there are tutorials, so that is actually what we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with one of the tutorials. I played a little bit, but we're going to start a new game. So let's play with the recommended country here. You can choose. So, you've got Norway for politics, Castile for expansion, Holland for economy, Naples for politics, the Ottomans for expansion, and Hungary for economy. And I think what we're going to do, because there are some videos, if you go back, let's see, if we go back here, so there are like a series of 3 video tutorials that they did, which are actually pretty good. I've already watched those. If you want to take a look at those, there's a link to it within the menu of the game. So that's where we're going to go. So new game, play with recommended country, and I think the one that the video does is Hungary. So we're going to start off with Hungary here. I do have the tutorials with I have the walkthrough going. So let's see what we got here. Okay, well, it's starting off right away here. Well, welcome to EU5. We'll turn down that volume here in a second as soon as we get through this part. Okay, so I am going to read through all of these screens. So this, if you don't want to listen to that, or if you want to play the tutorial yourself, this series may not be the one for you. There's lots of great people out there, people that are EU4 veterans that will understand this game a whole lot better than I do, and probably go check them out. Obviously, I would like you to watch my videos, but if you want to see details of strategy, watching me, you're going to watch me fumble and try and fail and maybe even lose games. So that's what we're diving into here. Okay, hopefully I can't lose the tutorial, or I won't lose the tutorial, but we'll see what happens. Okay, nearly 5 centuries of history is about to unfold before you. As the spirit of your nation, you have the power to choose how you could conquer the world, develop your society into a flourishing utopia, or become an unrivaled economic power. Whatever you choose to do, history is yours to control. It's a nice little welcome. Okay, we do the camera controls, your WASD, scroll wheel, tab. That's interesting. Okay, that got us out in the middle of nowhere. Let's get back over here to Hungary, where our stuff is at. Next, game concepts are highlighted in blue and contain information about specific mechanics you might encounter within the game. You could, for instance, say that you play as a country. Okay. By default, nested tooltips are accessible by waiting a short time for them to lock. Okay, so this is telling us how to use the nested tooltips, which are great. This is something a lot of Paradox games are starting to do, and I think those are perfect. In EU5, you play as the spirit of the nation, an abstract representation of your country. You are currently playing as the Kingdom of Hungary, a country with King Karoloy as its ruler. Well, that's kind of nice. You get a little pop-up off of him too, and you get some basic stats. Okay. Yeah, nice. Open character panel. Okay. And then it's showing us where the name of our country is and where he shows up, which is up here in this corner over here. And I do have edge scrolling turned on. The top bar consists of a few different elements. It will stay here at the top of your screen from now on to provide you with an overview of the country. You also notice that there is a date on the top. This is because the game plays out in real time. Do not worry, though you're paused right now. Nothing is happening. Okay. So this gives us our nobility estate, clergy, burghers, and commoners. This is our ducats or ducats, stability, our population, legitimacy. Oh, I like how the map changes when you hover over that. Interesting. Let's see. Prestige and diplomats. I have, let's see. War exhaustion, manpower, current research, the date and time, and then our speed controls. Okay. Alright, which we just kind of read through all of that. So, let's see, displays the estates, groups that hold power within the country, player you represent. As a player, you are represented by the crown. Okay, we are the crown estate. Get back to estates later, but for now, keep in mind that every estate holds a percentage of the country's wealth and power. It has a level of estate satisfaction. So it's how happy the estate is. Let's see. And if happiness is not high enough, we may have trouble recruiting our army and navy levies. Probably also cause revolts. Let's see. Distribution of power between states will vary from country to country. Having access to unique estates altogether. Well, that's interesting. Next, we look at the resources, which is this bar right here, which we were looking at a moment ago. We talk about its population and stability. Time. Okay, so this is time controls. We are in the age of traditions. Access to government reforms, religious tolerance, agricultural cultivation, diplomatic traditions, trade office network. Prices and markets range from 10% to 300%. Wow. Okay. Become available in this age: feudalism, legalism, and meritocracy. Okay. Possible advances. Currently research 64. Okay. Control impact on war score. Okay. Ends in May of 1342. So it's got basically a hard end date. And it's not very far away. 1342 is, let's see, that's 5 years. So the age of traditions ends in 5 years for the game start. Okay, the game is currently paused, so you're not missing out on anything. Okay. Main panels. Let's take a moment to go over some basic elements of the interface. Starting with the tabs on the top left, there are 8 different panels. Government, economy, production, society, diplomacy, military, geopolitics, and advances. I believe it's going to take us through most of these. Okay, on top of the game content, you can find access to the line across the game. Some key game mechanics are have associated hints. Okay, so there is a hint panel, which is awesome because, from what I understand, these are like things that you can decide. You know, if you want to try to find things to do, kind of give you goals and guidance on how to play or what you can do and where to go. So we've opened the hints panel. That was our thing there. Vast game that allows for countries different play styles and possibilities. From what I understand, there's a lot of automation that you can do for like things that you don't understand or if you don't really want to worry about right away. So a lot of that stuff you can just kind of automate, and then the game will do that while you focus on the parts that you really that you want to focus on. Whether or not you fancy yourself as versus conqueror, shrewd politician, or an administrator. Okay. As we mentioned, ducats are one of the most important resources in the game. Most actions cost ducats, and very often your ability to impose your will as a ruler, both outside and inside your country, will depend on the wealth you are able to concentrate into your hands. The path to global domination is paved with golden blood. Interesting. Most of your finances are controlled from the balance panel. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so wants us to open up the economic panel. Just over here. Okay. And then there's a balance tab, which is the first one. So we got balance, markets, and trade. What I understand, these little cogs here are where you can automate things. Okay, so this is showing us minting, nobility, and our taxes on our various estates, food, diplomacy. Okay, and then our expenses. So it's basically a balance sheet. You know, if you have a business and do any sort of accounting, yeah, it's a balance sheet. This is your incomes and these are your expenses. And then you preferably want a balance that's going to be in the positives. Okay, next step. Here you can find an overview of your balance. The difference between your income and your expenses will be added to your treasury at the end of every month. You can manipulate the different sliders in this panel to modify your monthly balance. As we just saw, the difference between your monthly income and expenses is also displayed in the top bar, which is right there. So plus 318. So 318 makes sense. Taxes. Okay, so most of it is generated monthly basis on the basis in the land you own, your locations. Okay. We will talk about locations later. For now, hover over the tax base number in the top left corner. It's this box right here. Okay, so this is telling us where our taxes are, what locations. So these are towns. That's a location. And Buda is my capital, it's a city. And then these are the taxes I'm getting from each of those places. Okay. Okay. Taxes do not go directly into your treasury. As the government, you only collect a fraction of the tax base by exacting taxes from your estates. You can set the level of taxation by adjusting the tax sliders in the budget panel. Notice how their state satisfaction drops the more you tax them. Okay, that's these things here. The maximum tax that you can set for each estate depends on many factors. Okay, for now we recommend you automate your taxes by clicking on the cog icon. That will tax them a just amount to keep their satisfaction over 50% as soon as you unpause the game. Okay, so it wants us to automate our taxes. And it's recommending we do this on all of these guys. So we'll do that. I think that's probably a wise idea for us to start because, yeah, I'm not going to understand a lot of these things. Okay, aside from taxes, another significant source of income is minting. You You can freely mint your heart's content to fix your budget, but minting too much will create inflation, okay? You can learn more about inflation in the inflation hint. Okay, so the game wants us to move the minting sliders to mint some shiny ducats. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to there, and it changes monthly by 0.04%. Okay, so that's increasing our income to 10 gold. Nice. Okay, the other two most common sources of income are trade and food. Since those are more advanced concepts, we'll not cover them for now. You can learn about them whenever you feel prepared for their respective hints. So there's a trade hint and a food hint. Okay. So are we going to end up... Let us unpause for a bit before looking at the expenses. You can adjust the speed. Yep, so this is where it's telling us to adjust the speed of our game. It's going to want us to go a month forward, so we'll hit the space bar and let time slip by for a month. Alright, and then we can see our locations on the map here. Where is our capital? There's Pest. Ah, there's Buddha. This is our capital. Kind of hard to see there a little bit. Okay, so the game has automatically paused again after we hit that month, which is fine. Ooh! 36.64, so a lot of things have changed. Nice. Get a decent income going. Okay, 1 month has passed, and we have paused the game for you. You can see now that the numbers have updated and your estates are contributing their new taxes. Many calculations of the game happen at the end of the month. Okay, so at the end of each month, a lot of these balances, things, and stuff will update. Let's take a look at expenses now. Okay, so we're looking at this section of the board. Many actions the game cost ducats at the very moment. Let's see, you perform them. Let's move this down a little bit. We got some rivalries that got declared. Okay, many actions cost ducats. Your balance has to bear the burden of regular monthly expenses. You can spend ducats on increasing stability and legitimacy, two of your most important stats. Okay. The maintenance cost of your standing armies and navies. Alright. To end up with a positive monthly balance, which we've done. Perfect. Okay, so that's the basics of our budget, which makes sense. It's really just kind of, basic understanding of, gotta have more income coming in, then you've got expenses coming out. Okay. Calculate in a month. Ducats are generated in your locations collected by your states, which you tax in order. So you generate wealth that your estates collect, and then you tax your estates to collect ducats that then you can use to help improve things to generate more wealth. So it kind of becomes a cycle. Okay. And the estates do not particularly enjoy being taxed. Well, yeah, I mean, nobody likes to pay taxes, but it makes, in a civilized society, you've got to have something to help with your general population. I mean, taxes are a necessity, really. I feel like getting distracted in bogs. Okay, the crown and the estates. The estates are one of the keystones of ruling. Not only are they a source of taxes, but they can also be powerful assets. Open the government panel. Okay, so here's our government panel. Open the country tab, which is open automatically. Okay, and open the estates tab, which is again, it's open automatically. Here you can see the different groups that control. Okay, so these are, so we have our crown power that owns like 28%. Our nobility own like 40% of the power of our country. They are fairly happy. Monthly change minus 17. So their happiness is going down. Happiness of the clergy is going up. Okay, so these little arrows show us which direction our happiness is going for each of the estates. Namely, it shows you, it allows you to exact higher taxes. Okay. Learn more about crown power. Okay, your estates can be powerful assets when managed correctly, but if displeased, can quickly turn into an insidious thorn. On top of contributing to your treasury with taxes, estates are essential to the businesses of war, since they would depend on their levies to fight your wars until you can afford to replace them with regular regiments, standing armies. However, if they are disloyal, they might start supporting rebellions against your power, potentially overthrowing your rule through a civil war. Finding estates whose satisfaction is above 50% will provide different bonuses to your country depending on the type of dissatisfied estates will inflict penalties. Okay, so right now the nobility is above 50%, but they are in a decline. It doesn't necessarily tell me why, or does it? Okay. Decay is due to the base value for every county. Okay. Estates can be granted privileges, which usually increase both their estate satisfaction and estate power. Let's see, and come with additional effects for your country and your people. Revoking privileges will both anger and weaken the target estate, though they can be a costly endeavor that will likely ruin your stability. Ooh. Despite them increasing the power of the estates and thus reducing your crown power, some privileges might align with your interests. Granting a new privilege in times of need can be a wise course of action, if only to extinguish a spark of rebellion. No king can rule alone, which makes sense. Aside from privileges of the states, estates derive their estate power primarily from the social makeup of your population. Okay. So there are 12,429 members of the nobility within my country. Alright. 3.7 million commoners. Nice. The population is divided into social classes. Okay. The map. Zoom out to see countries. Okay. So here are the countries of Europe and North Africa. We can also see a chunk of the Middle East. Okay, so this is kind of the starting world from the European point of view. You can see parts of Greenland over here. You don't technically know they're there yet. But if you know your world history, you know it's there. Or your world geography, you know it's there. We may need to work on the edge scrolling speed. Okay, open a country panel by left clicking on a foreign country. Okay, so here's the country of Moravia. Alright. It's a neighboring country. There's some quick actions up here, it looks like. Countries are nothing without locations. Locations are the heart of the economy and politics of any country. You produce goods, generate tax base, but they're also home to our population, different social classes, religion, and cultures. You used to have three different location ranks: city, town, and rural settlement. Okay, so we come back here. Yeah, so here's a city. All these squares are towns, and then these are rural settlements. Okay. Most important location for any country is the capital. Okay, that is this city right here, the city of Buda. You recognize the golden star inside the location rank. So a rural settlement can be a capital. Interesting. You know, that kind of makes sense probably for like smaller places. Yep, right. Kilkenny here. That is the capital of that. Something to keep in mind there. Current constructions. Requirements. Okay. You can also find a location by pressing F. Okay, so there is F, and then we can type in the name here. Let's click on our capital. Okay. So this is the city of Buda, which is our capital. Before looking at Buda, let us stop in a moment and take a look at the control groups. They live at the bottom of your screen and serve as a quick way to access. That's these things right here. You can assign location, country, market, armies to be more specific. That's right. Okay, so let's assign your capital, Buda. Control 1. Okay. There we go. Catholic Church. And what's this? Hungarian Croatian Union. Okay. So, control groups, good ways to access a variety of things. So, if you're playing like an RTS or like the old school, like not World of Warcraft, but the old school like Warcraft and Dune and some of those games where you're basically building a base and going out and gathering resources, you could like create groups of units by like selecting them and creating a control group. That's kind of the same thing there. Okay, now by pressing the assigned number, so yeah, the camera will be panned to Buda and open its panel. To empty a control group, you can either right click it or press control and okay. Let us take a look at the location panel. Any location is populated by different social classes. Okay. So these are the different social classes within the city of Buda. And then here's the market and pest. Okay, so we're connected to that. The amount of pops of each social class depends on the name of the buildings. Peasants will promote to be necessary to social class. Goods sold in the market to generate the tax base. Nice. RGO. Not all locations have buildings at the beginning of the game, but every location specializes in producing one specific good in their resource gathering operations, or RGO. That is a special type of building that employs laborers to produce raw goods. Very much like building RGOs sell their goods at the market, the location to generate tax base at the beginning of the game. Most of your tax base will come from the production of your RGO. Okay, so we are producing wine. Okay, this is our RGO. Nice. And then there's a market hints. As you have seen, the added profits of buildings can constitute a tax base. Remember that you can only end up receiving a fraction of the tokens in the form of taxes. Hover over the tax base to see how it's being distributed among your estates. Okay, so the tax base goes into these estates that we can then collect through taxes. Looks like the clergy are not getting taxed here in Buddha. For instance, the total tax base in Buddha adds up to being 6.97, of which I am taxing 1.49 of that. Okay. Buildings and RGO in your location employ POPs to create tax base divided among your states, who will then in turn provide taxes and levies. Okay. Alright. Taxes and levies. That makes sense. Not all locations are equal under the sun. Let us discuss. Let's see. One of the most important stats of a location: control. Understanding control determines the amount of wealth in a location that is actually usable by your states. In other words, the tax base of a location is scaled by the percentage of control. So this is the control. We have full control over our capital, obviously. So any land that we own, we want to increase the control of those areas so that we can get better access to all of the estates and their tax bases and resources. Okay, and control is going to be based on proximity to the capital. Building roads can help improve proximity of other locations. Okay, and there is a hint for that. Alright, let's take a moment now to see the map modes or different map modes. Over your control, and okay, so this shows us control of our territory. So real close to the capital, we're doing really good, and then farther away, we have like lots of areas where we have very little control. There's no control in this province over here. We have zero effective control. So basically, it's local. Everybody in the local area is basically doing their own stuff. Mercenary size plus 25%. Okay. That's a bit scary. Okay. Notice control. Locations from capital due to control. While in this map mode, you can also click on other countries and see the control. So I can see the control of their areas as well, which is interesting. Okay. Alright. So I can kind of keep an eye on my neighbor's control of the areas by clicking on their stuff. Okay, makes sense. Access my hover over the proximity tooltip. Okay. And click on proximity to the capital. Yep. Notice proximity spreads further along plains and rivers and is fairly hampered by mountains, ranges, or forests. Indeed, topography and vegetation are very important, so like roads or ports. On different locations, while in this map mode will show a path to the capital. So it looks like we're building a road or something. Okay, there are dozens of different map modes. Oh my. Returns the default terrain map mode Control Q. Control Q. There we go. We're going through a lot of the basics of just how this game works right now. Okay, so roads. Interesting. Open the Buddha panel and click on the Road Builder button to build a road from your capital. Click on any neighboring location on the map to start construction. Okay, so back. Okay, so let's go one. Okay, so we got Buddha open. Open the map modes panel highlighted. Okay, we've done that. Okay, we open the Buddha panel. Click on the road builder icon. Okay. And then click on any other location. So let's say we want to build a road to this location. Okay. Click on any number location map to start construction. Okay. Alright, so that would be alright, we've done that. Alright, so this is basically, okay. So if I want to build a road to Sinetta, okay, I can put these in alphabetical order. Really kind of telling me I can't at the moment. Okay, there's already roads there. This is the amount of ducats that would cost, and I don't have that much. Okay. Let's build a road from, you'll notice the cost of ducats. Okay, so we've started the construction of a road. Already building a gravel road. Okay. Why is this not? Okay, so we open the panel, clicked on the road, and we want to click on a location. Okay, which we're doing, but it's not, I don't understand why it's not picking up. Oh, we can't afford that. Oh, well, we'll have to skip that lesson for now. Yeah, under construction. It will take my. I think I've got some roads under construction. Okay, roads and harbors improve proximity and control, which improves our crown power and tax base. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. Outliner. Right. Let's just close those because we know we've been rivaled. Okay. Before we finish, let's go over a couple of extra UI elements. The outliner. Okay. My dog is scratching at the carpet. Before we finish, let's go over a couple of things, a couple of extra UI elements you need to know. Alright, before we finish, let's go over a couple of extra UI elements that you need to know before starting with the outliner. The outliner offers an overview of what is going on in your country. For instance, you can see that the road you just built, okay, is under construction. Contents, much like control groups, and you can pin a large variety of other things, such as countries, markets, or armies. To do this, you can either utilize context menu, which can be accessed by right-clicking a location or a country on the map. Okay, so open the context menu. Okay, let's say that I want to right-click. Okay, is this the context menu? Pin country to out, or pin a country or location to the outliner. Pin action. Okay, there we go. The little star that pins it. So now that it is, pest is in our thing here. So I could do the same thing with, say, my capital. Okay. Cool. Nicely done. You'll be able to access everything you have pinned on the right side of the screen. Almost at the end of this introduction, we've automated some features that will be focused on learning the basics, but you can control the aspects of the game that are on. They're automated at any time from the automation panel. Okay, open the automation panel. Okay. From inside this panel, you control which aspect of country the game will manage for you. Make you stick to what has been set and go back to this panel when you feel comfortable with the basic features. Optionally, you can decide whether you want to automate your advances and your cabinet or leave the manual. I really feel like the cabinet. I'm probably going to automate quite a few things, to be honest. Trade. I think trade I'm going to automate for the moment. Let's see. Research. Let's see your advances. Government reforms cabinet. Okay. So those are automated. Exploration, colonies, army construction. Okay. Another important element we use during your campaigns is the alerts. Okay, so that's all these little flags at the top here. Inform you of a variety of matters that you will eventually need your attention. Sorted by their level of urgency, from the most urgent red to the less urgent green. Okay. Most alerts have a related hint that helps you address it. You can shift-click on an alert to open the corresponding hint. Okay, so shift, and let's say click on this, and this brings up our hint for rebel movements. Nice. Your cabinet has been assigned to stabilize country. That's good to know. Increase province. Been assigned to increase province control. Cabinet has been expanded. Three reports a new loan. We have taken loans of 10%. Okay. It's been assigned to cabinet. Alright. Agenda. Lastly, we recommend you take a look at the agenda at the beginning of every game, where you'll be able to find a little bit of historical context for your country and a collection of those hints. Okay. Oh, let's look at our agenda first. Okay. For centuries, the great kingdom of Hungary has defended the bastion of Catholicism from the pagans and heathens that threaten beyond. Recent rebellions amongst the nobility put this duty in danger, but thanks to the iron hand of King Anjou Carly, the disgruntled nobility have been reined in, and the Hungarian faith has been renewed and reinforced. The future of Hungary is not to dwell in peace. Okay, new trouble is brewing in the southwest that would change the strength of the region. Okay, so starting advice for Hungary, awesome. These are relevant hints, so we can read through these and basically figure out really kind of what we need to do, which is awesome. Open the, let's see, on to missions. Let's close that. On to missions. You are now at the end of the basic walkthrough. You can proceed by embarking on a specific walkthrough of choosing. Depending on your choice, you'll receive a brief explanation that will extend your knowledge and that part of the game experience. After that, you will be presented with different missions paths, which will offer different goals and rewards to guide you through your initial steps in Europa Universalis V. Good luck. Okay, so we're on to the missions. First things it wanted us to do was open up the government tab, which I've done. And now it wants us to look at the missions tab. Okay, so these are our missions. And then pick a focus. It wants us to, okay, so this wants us to start the economy walkthrough. Alright. And may your nation prosper through time. Okay, so we've picked up our government tab, we've hit our missions tab, and now we're going to hit the economy, which is going to start us on the economy walkthrough. Okay. We are starting now the economy walkthrough. We're going to dive a bit deeper into the economy of Europa Universalis, starting with its foundation in the markets. Open up the economy panel, and then open up the markets tab. Now I have automated the markets tab. Right here you can see a list of markets for your country, and the country is present while on the map, and you can see all the markets in the known world. Every location belongs to a market where they sell goods, they produce, and buy the goods they need. Many things in the game require goods. Pops need goods to live, constructions need goods to progress, buildings need goods to function, armies need goods to fight. For instance, you can see on the map at your capital, over to our capital, okay, so pest. For instance, you can see on the map the capital Buda belongs to the pest market, so anything you build in there will use goods from that market. Okay. Production of all locations is sold every month in the market stockpile, providing with them tax base. Okay. Note that markets transcend country borders. Production, always goes directly to their respective market. So foreign locations in the same market might be buying those goods before your own locations if they have higher market access. The market access of a location depends on the distance from the market center, and like proximity, you can improve it with roads. Locations will generally tend to belong to the closest market, that is, the one where they have the higher market access. Okay. Interesting. Okay, and go in the markets hint. Now, markets are never completely isolated from each other. The movement of goods between the two markets is called trade. Countries can move goods between markets by using their trade capacity, creating a profit or loss in the process. Okay, burgers living in the market will conduct trade of their own. Trade is automated in all markets, which means that any trade capacity you possess in that market will be used up automatically on the best deals available. We recommend you leave all trade automated until you have more experience with the game. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. When the time comes, you can learn more about trade here with the trade hint. Finally, pops are also whilst producing and consume food. Food is producing first and working in RGO. Okay. Like wheat through peasants, working subsistence agriculture. Okay. You can learn more about food supply. Let's continue by exploring goods. To do this, you can click on the Pop Needs button in the market card. Like this. Okay. Here you can see all the goods in a specific market. Since the Pop Needs filter is already applied, you can currently see in the market balance of all goods your pops need. You can increase the supply of any good in the market in 3 ways. Expanding RGO. It can be expanded to produce raw goods if you own the appropriate locations. Constructing buildings, although some of them can also produce raw goods. Buildings excel at refining raw goods into produced goods. Importing it via trade. Okay. For instance, you might create an RGO to collect wool, then construct a Spinners Guild building to refine the wool into cloth, which is used by many other buildings, pops, and armies. Okay, open the Buildings tab. Unlike RGO, all buildings need some input goods, to function. Other buildings have different purposes. Manpower, enabling recruitment of regulars. And then we have buildings missing. These are all sorts of hints that we can look at. Okay, open the government panel and open the missions tab. So, governments, missions, which we've done. Start an economy mission. Okay. Develop a capital economy. To help ease, we have a few missions prepared for you to get started. Well, we might as well just start on the first one here. Okay. Nice. Now you have a few missions that are accessible to you within the mission tabs. Go through them in order to solidify and expand what you just learned, but remember you can start one of the other walkthroughs and the related missions at any moment with the missions tab. Good luck out there. Let's go. Okay. Well, so this is interesting. Start the learning walkthrough. So, yeah, there's a lot to dive into here. And I think we're going to hold off on that until our next episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button down below if you'd like to see more, and the subscribe button. And until next time, you guys have a good one. Goodbye.